On today's show, Pierre LeBrun reported that Patrik Laine is looking for a change of scenery. He's not happy in Columbus anymore. Could Washington be that change that he's looking for? I'll discuss next on this edition of Locked On Capitals.
Your Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello and welcome into this edition of Locked On Capitals. I'm so glad you decided to join me today. As always, this podcast is free and available on all the major platforms, including the SiriusXM app and on YouTube. And I want to thank you for making this your first listen each and every day. My name is Dan Holme. I've covered the Capitals for the last 3 seasons for Locked On and various other outlets before that. I'm also the host of the weekly show called The Capitals Minutecast, available wherever you find your podcasts. You can find me on Twitter. It's at DanCaps218. You can find the show on Twitter. It's at Locked On Caps. And the best way that you can help grow the show is to subscribe to Locked On Capitals on YouTube and comment anything down below. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. So in this edition of Locked On Capitals, we talk about the possibilities for the Capitals this summer. In this show, if you're an everydayer, you know I speak of that the Capitals need to make changes if they want to have any plans of making it any further than they did this past season. And what am I talking about in particular? They need some help in the goal scoring department. And in tonight's show, I will talk about 3 names that could potentially help bolster this team. Is it going to be possible? I guess it remains to be seen. One player I will talk about is Matt Duchene. We know he has had a successful career in the NHL, playing for teams like the Avalanche, the Senators, the Blue Jackets, and the Predators. And we know the Capitals are considering a trade for Patrik Laine. There's been rumblings about it. Is it actually possible? And would the Capitals want to take on a player like Patrik Laine, known for his goal-scoring ability, but with some concerns? They are also interested in Martin Necas, a forward for the Carolina Hurricanes, to strengthen their offense despite the potential challenges. But just to get it going here, I will first talk about Patrik Laine. And I know I've already spoke about him, but the reason I'm talking about him again today was from the comments from Pierre LeBrun, stating that Patrik Laine wants out of Columbus. And I really don't blame him, as it seems like that is a team in transition. We do know that they are having a head coaching change. We know that Don Waddell is there, and he is going to be implementing some changes there. But I think as far as Patrik Laine is concerned, he sees what is going on there. He's seen there. He's been there. He's done that. And he is looking for some change. And before I even get going in on why he would work for the Capitals, let's maybe take a look at why he would like to get out of there and just the lack of production that he has had with his time in Columbus. Not all bad, but not all good either. The high water mark for him was in the 17-18 season when he had 44 goals with the Winnipeg Jets. Another good season in 1920 with 28 goals. But with his time in Columbus, he had a good season in 21-22 with 26 goals. The 22-23 season, 22. And this season, we know he was dealing with some adversity, only 6 goals. So his best days were playing with the Jets. And for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem like it's a good fit or there's great chemistry for Patrik Laine in Columbus. And if I was him, I could see wanting to get out. It does seem like a team that is kind of in turmoil. I guess it remains to be seen how it all shakes out. But I could see if I was him wanting to get out. And the Capitals, they might be considering a trade for Patrik Laine, who requested a trade from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Laine is known for his goal-scoring ability, but has had bouts of inconsistencies and struggles, as I spoke of with his time in Columbus in particular. While he could provide a new dimension to the Capitals' offense and power play, there are concerns about his play at both ends of the ice, and his plus minus, his cap hit of $8.7 million for the next 2 years is another factor to consider. However, Laine is still young and has plenty of upside, and a change of scenery might benefit him. It's important, though, to weigh the potential benefits and risks before making a decision. And, he is a big name, but he hasn't been that big name for a bit here. We know that we have seen some struggles in his game. That he entered into the NHL's player assistance program. We've seen that he has had some struggles. Do the Capitals want to take on a player that has had struggles, being that we're not too far removed from Evgeny Kuznetsov and the issues that he's dealt with? The upside could be huge, or it could be a huge loss, as the Capitals would take on a boatload of money for a player that I'm going to go ahead and say is a question mark. The potential trade of Laine to the Capitals are looking for help on offense, and Laine is looking for a change. At the Columbus Blue Jackets reportedly are working on a trade. Laine has requested a trade out of Columbus, citing the need for a fresh start. The Capitals could potentially be a landing spot for the 6'5", 215-pound winger. His size is there. There is a lot to like, don't get me wrong, who has showcased his goal-scoring prowess and has the potential to be a point-per-game star. Let me underline that there for a moment. Potential to be a point-per-game star at his highest level. However, though, there are concerns about his consistency and struggles, as well as his plus-minus rating during his time in Columbus. Nonetheless, Laine's talent and potential offensive contributions are appealing, and a change of scenery might benefit the 23-year-old forward. Potentially, there is a lot to consider. So let's talk about his achievements, as there are quite a few. So why the intrigue? Why would a team like the Capitals be interested in someone like Laine? Maybe if you can take a look at the back of his hockey card here for a moment, Patrik Laine was the 2016 second overall pick. He's demonstrated his elite ability on the ice. He possesses a rocket shot, good speed, tremendous skill, and like I said, 6'4", 206-pound frame that makes him a consistent offensive threat. When he's dialed in, he's really good. It's just getting him dialed in. His successful stint in the Finnish Elite League, contributions to Finland's gold medal win at the 2016 IIHF World Junior Championship, and an impactful start in the NHL with the Winnipeg Jets. I think that he played some of his best hockey with Winnipeg, and that underscores his exceptional talent. Laine's scoring abilities and significant achievements are what make him an attractive option for teams seeking offensive powers. And it's not just the Capitals. There are a lot of teams that are out there that are in need of goal scorers. And I think that, the Capitals are and the Hershey Bears have players that potentially could help bolster this team's pursuit of goal scoring in the future. If you take a look a little bit further down, you take a look at Ryan Leonard and players like that, and even Miroshnichenko really stepping up, that I think that this team could be big. But I think that, adding an established goal scorer could go a long way in helping the Capitals in their goal of getting more goal scoring in a hurry. Patrik Laine's performance and potential impact, that's the big thing. While Laine's offensive capabilities make him an enticing prospect, there are concerns that remain about his play at both ends. Joining the Capitals could provide Laine with an opportunity to revitalize his career and learn from experienced players like Ovi. However, questions about his fit with the Capital system and his high cap hit for the next 2 years raise considerations about his potential trade. Regardless, Laine's youth, upside, and proven offensive prowess make him an asset with the potential to significantly impact the Capitals' performance. It is a risk. Is it the risk, if I was the GM, that I would want to take on? I'm going to go ahead and say probably not. There is a good upside, but I'm the kind of guy that likes to see both sides of the coin, and I think the risk almost outweighs the reward. What kind of Patrik Laine would this team be getting? If we get Laine, when he was first in the league, playing for Winnipeg when he was a much younger man, sign me up. I'm all about it. But if we get the Patrik Laine that has struggled like a time for the last few years, I'm going to go ahead and say, in Columbus, then I'm not really so sure I want that player on my team. There are certain things to consider, however. Maybe, just maybe, it wasn't him. Maybe it wasn't him not playing that well in Columbus. Maybe it was the systems that were in place. Maybe it was the coaching that was in place, because one of the things that I know for certain is that the head coaching possession in Columbus has been a turnstile, and it's some kind of crazy decisions, and ultimately why I think they have new leadership there I don't know. Maybe it would be a good idea for him to see where all this goes. He said that he wants out. And for me, that's never a good look for a player, to say that you want out of a team. I don't think that looks really good on your hockey resume, that you say that you want out. And I think that for him, it would be it would be worthwhile to see how this team looks next year under new leadership and a new coaching style, or maybe he just wants to play on a competitive team. I think that it's a fairly safe assumption to say that the Columbus Blue Jackets, while they may show improvement through the offseason, probably will not be contenders for greater things next year. Maybe steps of improvement, but I'm not going to say that I'm going to go ahead and get ready to etch their name in the side of the Stanley Cup. So a lot of things for the Capitals to consider, a lot of the things for Patrik Laine to consider. But my knee-jerk reaction on this whole situation with Laine is risk-reward. As I've had some time to think about it, I think that the risk outweighs the reward. And for right now, as much as it pains me to say, I think I would pass on Patrik Laine. All right, so coming up here straight ahead, it's not just Laine. There are some other big names that could potentially be up for a trade or some movement this summer, and Martin Necas is an intriguing name. I'll discuss him straight ahead. Summertime baseball, the NBA Finals, and more, and you can bet on it all with FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet on everything from the final MVPs to who's going to hit one out of the park. And let me tell you something, guys. I know that we are watching a lot of sports. Now, in the summer is a hard time to watch sports. So there's not as many sports going on as there is in the fall and winter. And maybe some of the games that you're watching don't pique your interest, or your team's not playing that well. Well, I have the perfect solution, and that is FanDuel. So just open up the FanDuel app, put a little bit of money on the game, and all of a sudden the game you're watching is that much more exciting. So visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all the shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you the can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team every day. Talking next here about Martin Necas and the huge role that he played for the Carolina Hurricanes, and that we know that the Hurricanes did not get the result that they were looking for. And it's funny that they made a push into the playoffs, but the bar is set so high that unless you make it to the final round, it's considered a failure. And I've heard all sorts of talk that there might be players on the move out of Carolina, and Martin Necas might be one of those expendable pieces, if you can believe it. The Capitals are considering making a move for Martin Necas to strengthen their offense. Necas, a restricted free agent, has attracted attention due to his impressive performance as a forward for the Carolina Hurricanes. Although the Hurricanes may be hesitant to trade him to a division rival, the Capitals see Necas as a potential solution to their offensive needs. However, acquiring Necas would come at a high cost, both in terms of trade package and the expected salary. Despite the challenges, Necas fits the bill for what the Capitals are seeking, as he would bring youth, skill, and goal-scoring ability to the team. I like this deal a little bit more. However, there's a caveat. There's an asterisk next to that. What would the ask be for it? If we are going to deplete a top prospect for him, or 2 or 3, or whatever the case might be, then I may have some reservations. But before we even get ahead of ourselves, why don't we take a look at the back of his hockey card and see what kind of player we would ultimately be getting. So let's take a look at the most recent season, the 23-24 season. In 77 games played, 24 goals, 29 assists. Not too bad. Let's rewind time a little bit more. In the 22-23 season, at 28 goals, 43 assists. The 21-22 season, 14 goals, 26 assists. So the high water mark in his career in the NHL was the 22-23 season. In 82 games, 28 goals, 43 assists. Not bad. Not bad is what I'm going to say. Do the Capitals have a better option? Is there a better option out there? Potentially. I think that he would be an upgrade, but the hard part, like I spoke of off the top, is the ask, and what would a potential team be asked for when it comes to him. So let's first talk about the Capitals' need for offensive help. The Capitals are in need of offensive help, and GM Brian McClellan is expected to be active in the trade and free agent market to address the issues during the summer. Should be is the operative word there. I would also not be too surprised if he makes little to no moves. If we take a look at last summer, it was Pacioretty and Edmondson, 2 moves that didn't really garner a whole lot of response out of me. It didn't move the needle one way or the other. A little bit let down at the end of the day, so maybe slightly in the negative realm. So again, the biggest reason why I see him maybe not making a big move is just everything that we've seen. The lip service that I'm going to go out and get this top 6 forward. We've heard about it. And we've heard that he's looked, but he can't find it. I'm a little bit skeptical, and I think that ultimately he wants to see what we have internally. But I do think that Necas would be a good fit on this team if the asking price was right. Martin Necas as a potential solution. Necas, a forward for the Carolina Hurricanes, is attracting attention as a potential trade target. He is a restricted free agent with a strong track record of offensive production and is expected to receive a significant pay raise. That is the caution flag surrounding that. The potential pay raise, those are the things that have me concerned. I don't want the Capitals to spend too much money. And I know that people are going to say, Dan, you say all the time they need to get this big guy. And they do, but I don't know necessarily if Martin Necas is that guy. There's things I like about his game, but is he that big player that I'm looking for? Kind of. Necas' performance and potential fit. Necas has shown promise as a young top 6 forward with the ability to generate offense. He possesses the talent and skill set that could make him a valuable addition to the Capitals roster. I do think he would be an improvement. Is he just the guy? That is the question. So a realistic outlook and potential obstacles. While Necas could address the Capitals' need for more offensive firepower, acquiring him will be the hard part. Like I said, the Hurricanes are not likely going to want to part with him, and if they do, it is going to be a big ask. So Necas' background and achievements has had a notable journey in professional hockey, showcasing his abilities in both the NHL and on the international stage. His accomplishments and potential make him an enticing prospect for teams in need of offensive talent. An upgrade. And, that's the hard part is I think that Carolina is probably going to ask for a substantial return. And I'm not so sure if I was GM Brian McClellan, if that is the guy that I would move a lot of big name players out for. Again, I know his stats. I just went over his stats with you. He would be an upgrade, but something about him for me Yeah, here's my final word on it. If they can get him at the right price, yes, but don't overspend, don't overextend on him. I think that there is potentially, if you are going to do something huge, there are bigger names ostensibly available out there this summer. And I think that Martin Necas would be good. My cause of concern would be the ask. And that is the difficult part for me as a Capitals fan. All right, so coming up here straight ahead, we will talk about a player that was very close to joining this team just a couple summers ago. What player am I talking about? I'll discuss straight ahead. A lot of life is unpredictable, but with a good life insurance policy plan gives you a family of financial safety net to protect against some of the unknowns. Policygenius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It makes choosing the right policy for your family easy and quick. And it's one of the things that I have taken care of is life insurance policy, in the event that something happens to me, that my family, my wife, my kids will be prepared in the event that something happens to me. So Policygenius helps you easily compare your options from America's top insurers in just a few clicks. Their award-winning agents can even walk you through the process step by step. Your work life insurance policy may not offer enough protection for your family's needs. Even worse, it may not come with you if you leave your job. Your work life insurance policy is difficult, and sometimes getting those policies to transfer is hard to do. Policygenius has no incentive to recommend one insurer over another, so you can trust their guidance. They have thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot from customers who found their best needs met with Policygenius. So get peace of mind by finding the right life insurance policy with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Next, we will talk about a player that was close to joining the Capitals just a couple summers ago, but it fell apart, and that player is Matt Duchene. He was playing on the Predators at the time, Barry Trotz, and the Preds were all in on Evgeny Kuznetsov, if you could believe it, but that deal fell apart. I guess it was, not this summer, but the summer before, and it wasn't meant to be. And ultimately what happened is the Preds ended up buying out Duchene, but is there the potential that he could be a fit on the Capitals? Matt Duchene had a successful career going forward and he's a highly talented NHL player known for his impressive rookie season with the Avalanche. Throughout his career, he achieved significant milestones, such as becoming the youngest player in Avalanche history to reach 100 points and leading the team in scoring at a young age. Duchene's career saw him playing for various teams, including the Senators, Blue Jackets, and Predators. His contributions to the teams, including his success in faceoffs and scoring ability, earned him a reputation as a valuable player despite being placed on unconditional waivers by the Predators. He signed a new contract with the Dallas Stars and continued his career in the NHL. So before we go forward anymore, let's take a look at the back of his hockey card as well. A dynamic player, I think, could potentially be a big upgrade for the Capitals. So let's take a look here at his most recent season, playing the 23-24 season here, in 80 games played, 25 goals, 40 assists. The 22-23 season, 22 goals, 34 assists. Rewind time one more year in the 21-22 season, 43 goals, 43 assists. There is a lot to like about it, and him as a player, that was the high water mark of his career. So, like I've said before, what kind of Duchene would we ultimately be getting? And is it even feasible? Is it possible? I think that it is possible if the right pieces, if the right fit is there. I think that he would help bolster this team in their effort to score goals Is it doable, and is it attainable, and is it the right fit for the Capitals? That is the question. The introduction and background on him. Let's talk about him here briefly. On July 1st, Matt Duchene celebrates his 33rd birthday and currently plays center right wing. His salary cap hit for the 23-24 season is $3 million. In 2009, he was chosen as the number 3 pick in the NHL draft by the Colorado Avalanche. And, I talked about his great career in the NHL. And I think that ultimately he would be a good pickup. He doesn't necessarily fit the narrative of getting younger and faster, as he is 33. And that is, it's not old, but it's going against what the Capitals, I think, are looking for. So his early career and achievements. These are the things that speak volumes about who he is as a player. During his debut season, Duchene led all rookies with 55 points in 81 games, including 24 goals, earning a spot on the NHL All-Rookie team. He became the youngest player in Avalanche history to reach 100 NHL goals and appeared in the All-Star game for the first time. Let's talk about his playing style and skills and how would that fit in. Duchene has shown remarkable speed and agility and is considered one of the NHL's best at winning faceoffs. Check. I like that a whole lot. His ability to react quickly on the ice has contributed to his success, consistently winning more than half of his draws every season since 2010-2011. Check. I like that part of his game alone. The Capitals have been looking for a player just like that. Talking about his time here, team transfers and signings after successful stints with the Avalanche, Senators, Duchene was traded to the Blue Jackets in 19 before signing a 7-year contract with the Preds. That year, however, he was put on waivers. Can't really hold that against him. They wanted to move on. Joining the Dallas Stars, Duchene signed a 1-year, $3 million contract with the Stars and has been playing as a second-line center. A center, I think, is what kind of really speaks to me here the most. I like the fact that he has great stats, that he can score goals, that he can win faceoffs, and potentially could be that upper echelon center that the Capitals are looking for, showing improved performance and helping the team become strong and contenders for the Stanley Cup. So some intriguing names at the forward position in this episode, but I definitely like Duchene's game. And I would really have no problems if he signed a deal with the Capitals or a trade was facilitated. Contract extension and competing forwards, there is interest in extending Duchene's contract, but other forwards like Ty Dellandrea and Sam Steele and Joe Pavelski are also making strong cases for salary increase. He'll be available on July 1st. So I think a good upside there, and I think if the Capitals could pull this off, I think it would be big. So future prospects, Duchene's impact and talent make him a valuable asset, and there will be potentially numerous teams vying for his skills in the future. So there is a lot to like about his game. Can the Capitals pull the trigger and get someone like that? I think potentially yes, and he is going to be available this summer. It's interesting that there were ties to the Capitals, that there was talk that potentially he could join this team. As at the time, Barry Trotz was kicking the tires, and the Nashville Predators were kicking the tires about the potential of him joining this team. So a lot of questions for the Capitals to answer this summer. Those are some big names, some rather big names, Laine, Necas, and Duchene. Some intriguing names. Is it possible that Brian McClellan is going to be able to land a player of that caliber? I guess time will only tell. If I'm going to pick a favorite right now, knee-jerk reaction of those 3 players, which player do I wish the Capitals could land? It would be Matt Duchene. Martin Necas would be a close second, and Patrik Laine, to be totally honest here, good stats. It's just what kind of Laine would we get? That is my cause of concern as far as Martin Necas is concerned. The ask, what we would have to give up, how much we'd have to pay him. Matt Duchene, for me, seems to be the clear-cut favorite for just everything that I mentioned in this segment. He would be a great upgrade for the Capitals. Is it possible? I guess time will only tell. Listen, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals, your only daily year-round podcast covering the Washington Capitals. And I want to thank all of you that listen on the audio side and watch this on YouTube. You are ultimately what makes this show successful. When you're done here, head on over to Locked On's 24/7 streaming channel, available on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app and on YouTube. All right, once again, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Dan Holmby, and I'll talk to you again next time.